Well, hey, Destiny Church, so glad to be with you today. I'm excited to talk to you on the second talk in our series called Freedom. Last week we started off, and this week I'm going to be ending it, a 2-week series, and I'm going to be talking about some other things in the book of Exodus that I may have mentioned last week in July. So I'm excited what we have coming up. We have Pastor Fiona with us next week, and then Pastor Andrew Owen, the leader of Destiny Ministries, with us the very end of July, the last Sunday of July. So it's going to be a great time. We're going to kind of have a month of Surge Conference. Instead of everybody going to Scotland for Surge, we're going to have a month of Surge, and Andrew's going to kick that off at the end of this month, the 28th, I believe that is, on a Sunday. So I'm excited about that. So I'm going to cap this Freedom series off, and then we're going to continue in the month of July to talk through some things in the book of Exodus. So to end this talk on freedom, to end this conversation that we've been having on freedom, we're going to be in the book of John chapter 8. Now, I love this story in Scripture in John chapter 8. It tells a story about a woman who was caught in adultery. Now, let me just make a note there. She was caught in adultery. It didn't say that the Pharisees and the Sadducees who caught her heard about it and they accused her. No, she was caught in the act of adultery. She was caught in adultery. I don't know what happened, but maybe they busted up that's all I know. They busted up in the room and they caught her in the act of adultery. And the Pharisees and Sadducees then bring this woman to Jesus. Jesus was teaching in the temple courts, and they bring this woman to Jesus and they say, "Hey, Jesus, the law of Moses tells us that we should stone this woman." And this isn't the kind of stoning, the Cheech and Chong stoning. This is the taking rocks and throwing it at a person until they die. The law of Moses says we should stone this woman who was caught in adultery. What do you say? And Jesus' response is epic, as it always is. He bends down in the dirt and he begins to write in the sand. Now, nobody knows exactly what he's writing in the sand. Some people would say that he was writing all the Sadducees and the Pharisees' mistresses' names in the sand. And the Bible says as he begins to write in the sand, the oldest to the youngest Pharisee begin to drop the stones that they were going to throw at this woman. And they walk away. They walk away. And Jesus bends down and he picks this woman up and he tells her, "Go and sin no more. Go and sin no more." Come on, aren't you grateful that Jesus bent down in your mess? Jesus bent down in your mess, showed you mercy. When he was the one, if anybody could have thrown a stone, it could have been him. If anybody could have picked up a stone and had the right to point a finger at somebody's sin, it was him. But aren't you grateful that Jesus, instead of throwing stones at your life, he bent down in your mess, had mercy on your life and picked you up and said, "Go on with the purpose and calling I have for you." I hope somebody's glad today for that, for God's mercy in your life. And can I just tell you, maybe you haven't experienced that today. I want you to know that today you can experience the mercy of God in your life. Man, when I was messed up, when I was long gone, when nobody else could have rescued me, it was Jesus who bent down in my mess and picked me up. He had mercy on my life. But today, I do not want to talk to you about that side of mercy. That side of mercy is necessary for the other side of mercy. But I want to talk to you about the unpopular side of mercy. The mercy that says that I need to show people mercy. The mercy that says Jesus showed me mercy, so I ought to show somebody else mercy. Jesus gave me mercy. Jesus bent down in my mess. Jesus dropped a stone. Jesus didn't have a stone in his hand, so I don't need to pick up stones in my hand to throw at people. I need to show mercy to people. I believe we live in a culture that picks up stones. I believe we live in a comeback culture. We live in a culture that says, "Hey, don't you mess with me because I'm going to get you. If you get me, I'm going to get you." You know, we live in a culture that says, "Oh, if you do something, if you say something wrong, I'm going to call you out. I'm gonna get you. We live in a culture that says, I'm gonna pick up a stone. I wanna talk to you today on the subject, drop the stones, dust the dirt. Drop the stones and dust the dirt. Mercy is literally holding back what somebody deserves. Holding back something what somebody deserves. Holding back a stone in this woman's case when the law of Moses says she deserved to be stoned. Holding back a stone. Come on, mercy is that moment when you're at the restaurant and the waiter or the waitress is new to the job. They don't exactly know what they're doing. And maybe that's just not their calling, waiting on tables. And you're waiting on your food. You have bad service. The waiter or waitress is never there to answer the question, or they communicate the order wrong, or whatever it may be. Let's just say that's not their calling. And everything inside of you wants to, get a free pie, or I'm not gonna tip them. That service was bad, but instead you tip them anyways, is mercy. Mercy is when somebody honks their horn or flashes their lights at you because you're going too slow, and what you really want to do is slow down even further. Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Mercy is when somebody says something to you in an email, and you've got this long drawn out email ready to fire back, and then you just hit backspace, because you know what you're about to say would not be constructive. But they may deserve it, but you hit backspace anyways. Come on, somebody needs some backspace mercy in their life. Yeah, I know. Have you ever written those emails? Have you ever typed out 4 emails just to delete them, just to get the right one so you didn't come off wrong? Come on, that is mercy. Mercy is when somebody says something ignorant on social media and you want to put something in the comments that just drills them, that just calls them out on their mess. Come on, we live in a culture today that is all about, I'm gonna point my finger at you, look at this side, the left is wrong and the right is right, or the right is wrong and the left is right, or this political party is the best and they have all their views are correct and these are the enemy and that person is the enemy. Come on, we live in a culture who picks up stones, and we need to be a people who drop the stones and dust the dirt in people's lives. John chapter 8, let me read it to you. John chapter 8 says this, "Then they all went home, but Jesus went out to the Mount of Olives. At dawn, he appeared again in the temple courts where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, 'Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery.'" Can I just tell you, I used to picture this story. I used to picture that they were on some dirt road somewhere and Jesus was teaching, but when I read closely, they were in the temple courts. They were in the righteous, the religious place. They were in the church, the temple courts. Can I tell you that sometimes the church and Christians can be unmerciful? Sometimes the church needs to have more mercy. And if anybody's gonna have mercy, it ought to be the church. If anybody's gonna have mercy and show mercy in our culture, it ought to be the church. The church should not be the ones picking up stones and throwing them at people. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman is caught in the act of adultery, and the law of Moses commands us to stone such a woman. Now what do you say?" They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing him. You see, this was all about Jesus in the first place. This woman was just a scapegoat so that they could accuse Jesus of coming against the law of Moses because they didn't have a relationship with Jesus. Can I tell you that mercy will flow out of a relationship with Jesus? When you have a relationship with Jesus, mercy will flow out of that place. These Pharisees and Sadducees who were holding stones, getting ready to stone this woman, had no relationship. In fact, they were trying to accuse Jesus and put him in a tough position. When I was in high school, now just to let you know, if I ever say when I was in high school and I'm about to tell a story, it's gonna be good. So you better listen. When I was in high school, me and some buddies, we had a bright idea. One of my friends, he some girl did him wrong. I can't remember if she broke up with him or I don't know what happened. We just know whatever she did wasn't right. So we got this bright idea. We were gonna go to the store and we were gonna pick up cartons of eggs. Not just a dozen, but in this store, they had literally cartons of eggs if you were gonna be making food for a lot of people. Now that morning we picked up cartons of eggs. Our idea was not to go make breakfast. We were not about to make omelets. Can I just tell you that if you ever see teenagers walking through the store with more than a dozen eggs, they're not doing errands for their mom. They are up to no good. We picked up cartons of eggs and we were going to go egg this girl's house for whatever she did to our friend. So we hop in a truck. Two of my buddies, one of my friends is driving, the other is in the passenger seat, and me and another guy were in the bed of the truck. And so we're driving through this neighborhood and we approach the house. And as we approach the house, we're opening the box of eggs. We're getting ready we're pulling them out. And we get a slow drive by the house and we just start chunking eggs at this girl's house. And we're like, that's her car, that's her car. We're throwing eggs at the car and eggs everywhere. It is a disaster. I can't imagine what the house smelled like afterwards. But can I tell you, we got her back. We got her, whatever she did, I don't even remember now. We got her back. But as we are throwing eggs out the back of this car, my friend who is driving, he's like the getaway driver. You always got to have a driver. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing something you shouldn't be doing, you need a driver. He was the driver. He was throwing eggs over the roof like this, and he ran out of eggs, so he decided to watch the show in the back. I mean, we were just drilling eggs out of the back. So he's driving very slowly, and he's looking out the back like this, watching us throw eggs. He's not paying attention. All of a sudden, we slam into a car that is parked on the side of the street. Bam! Just like that. And he freaks out and hits the gas, just guns it. He goes for it. And me and my friend who were in the bed of the truck, we slam all the way against the bed. He's just like tires peeling out, and he takes off. We have no idea what happened. We know he hit a car and we ran. We were so paranoid after that. We're like, oh my gosh, I hope they don't know the paint color of the car and they're figuring all this stuff out and they're gonna know, you know. We tried to look in the parking lot for damage to see what car it may have been and all that. We were freaking out. Can I tell you that picking up a stone or picking up an egg came back on us. It had negative repercussions. Can I tell you, picking up stones will not ever do you any favors. See, we all pick up stones in our life. We've all done it before. We've all picked up a stone ready to throw it at somebody. Come on, a family member, maybe distant relative, maybe a very close family member rubbed you the wrong way. They said something to you that hurt. They ignored you. They should have been there in your life in that moment, but they weren't. And so all of a sudden you picked up a stone and you said, you know what, I'm never coming around again. I'm gonna ignore you. I'm gonna shut you out of my life. I'm not gonna say anything to you. You picked up a stone. Maybe it was the boss who fired you and you knew the way you got let go wasn't the right way. And you knew this boss wasn't even doing the right thing, but they fired you, and what you really wanna do is you wanna pick up a stone and you wanna throw it back. You want to tell them how it is. And now you go through life afraid of measuring up and always feel like you're being watched by your new boss. You've picked up a stone in your life. Come on, I think we even pick up stones in our marriages. Come on. They do something wrong in marriage and you always want to hold it against them. As soon as you're in an argument, you like to dig back in the archives of what they've done and remind them of what they did. You want to remind them of the negative thing that they said to you. You want to remind them of what they didn't do. Oh yeah, you're going to tell me that I need to take out the trash or I forget to take out the trash when you don't do the laundry. Come on, you've picked up stones. Maybe it was that ex-relationship, ex-wife, ex-husband, ex-girlfriend, ex-boyfriend, and they hurt you. You did not deserve what you went through, but you picked up a stone and subconsciously you said, I hate that person. I'll never talk to them again. I'm gonna bash them whenever I talk to them behind their back. When I talk to them about to other people, I'm gonna bash them. I'm gonna make them look like the person that they really are. I'm gonna reveal all their secrets. You go into another relationship and you can't love anymore. You've picked up stones in your life. You had a bad business deal. You see, we've all picked up stones. We've all picked up stones, but here's the problem. Here's the problem with picking up stones. You see, we pick up these stones in our life, and what happens is we begin to carry them around. We begin to carry around that negative relationship. We begin to carry them around that bad business deal. We carry around that thing that they said to us. We carry around that social media post that wasn't their intentions in saying that, but they said it on social media and you read it the wrong way, and now you don't like them, and now you've got a stone in your hand because you thought they were your friend, or you thought they were on your side of politics, or you thought that they were on your side of everything, and they made that post on social media, and you picked up a stone and you've ignored them. You've shut them out of your life. You've now viewed them in a negative way. You've talked behind their back. You've changed your perspective about who they are, and you picked up a stone. And what happens is we pick up stones in our life and they weigh us down. Can I tell you that as you pick up stones, they'll always weigh you down? Picking up stones in your life will always weigh you down. You're wondering why you can't find that relationship. You're wondering why you can't open up in a relationship. You're wondering why you can't trust a business partner again. You're finding it hard to trust that person again. You're finding it hard to trust people that you lead again. You're finding it hard to trust that relationship. You're finding it hard to trust your boss. You're even finding, you're like, I wonder why they can have such a good relationship with God. Why can't I have that kind of relationship with God? I can't seem to get close to God. It's not because God isn't coming close to you. It's because you're holding these rocks and you can't open your arms to embrace God, to embrace other people, to embrace people in your life that want to come close to you, but you're shutting them off, and you're just bumping up against people. You try to make friends, you're just bumping up against people. They're like, man, what's going on with them? What's their problem? And what they don't know is they're bumping up against the rocks that you picked up against somebody else. I'm gonna bump up against them. And you can't get close relationships. And we pick up these rocks in our life and we can't move forward because rocks will always weigh you down. I can't even preach correctly with rocks because they'll weigh you down. You can't go through life carrying these rocks. Can I tell you that the secret to freedom, the key to freedom is this word. Oh, it's a dangerous word. Forgiveness. Forgiveness. You got to take these rocks that you've picked up and you got to drop them. And you do that through the power of forgiveness. And I'm not just talking about calling somebody up on the phone and saying, I forgive you. Maybe that's what you need to do. But I'm talking about going before the Lord and in your heart, truly forgiving somebody who hurts you. Truly forgive. That person might not even know you. It might have been your idol and they did something and you've picked up an offense. You need to forgive them in your heart. And I'm not just talking about one time right after Pastor Daniel preaches the message and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna forgive that person. I'm talking about on a regular basis, you might need to forgive somebody. I'm talking about daily forgiveness. You see, the Bible in Lamentations says this, let me read this to you. It says, the faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh every morning. You see, God's mercies for you become afresh every morning. Every morning you wake up, his mercies are new. They are not based on past. They are not based on what you did yesterday. His mercies are new every morning. And we ought to be believers who become like Jesus and strive to drop the stones in our life and pick up mercies instead of mud. Quit throwing it at people and on a daily basis forgive somebody. Forgive that family member. Forgive that business partner that hurt you so bad. And drop the stones in your life. Drop the stones in your life. We need to drop the things that we've picked up along the way. Drop the stones. And then I love Jesus' response. I love it. Here they are with stones in their hand, getting ready to stone this woman who was caught in adultery. Based on the law of Moses, she deserved it. Based on their religion and the Bible, Old Testament, the Ten Commandments, the laws of the Israelites that came from the Ten Commandments, based on that, she deserved it. She deserved to be stoned. But then it says, but Jesus. I love when it says, but Jesus. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. When they kept on questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. Let any of you who's messed up, let any of you who's never messed up before. The first person who's never messed up before, you get to throw the first stone. Jesus straightened up and asked her. No, it says this. It says, at this, those who heard began to go away, one at a time. The older ones first, until only Jesus was left. Can I tell you that only Jesus was left because he was the only one who didn't sin and could have rightfully picked up a stone. Only Jesus was left with the woman still standing there. Jesus straightened up and asked her, woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you? You know, a lot of people say, they said to me, you know, that's what they say. That's what it's been. They've said that. You know, they've been saying this about me, or they've been saying that about culture. They've been saying that about my perspective. Who is they? Who is they? Where are they? Has no one condemned you? No one, sir, she said. Then neither I condemn you, Jesus declared. Go now and leave your life of sin. Go now and leave your life of sin. Can I just tell you, I love that Jesus bends down in my dirt. And we ought to be a people who bend down in people's messes. Can I tell you, mercy is messy. Mercy is not clean. It is messy to show mercy to people when they deserve it. It is mercy to bend down in people's mess, get in their world instead of carrying us. It's easy to carry a stone. It's easy to judge people. It's easy to look down on people we don't understand. It's easy. But what's hard is to show mercy to people, to bend down in their mess, dust them off, and help them continue on about their life. Jesus bends down. Check this out. The Pharisees were always looking down on this woman. Here this woman is bent down in the dirt. The Pharisees with a stone in their hand looking down on her. And then all of a sudden, Jesus bends down and looks up at her. You see, it's a matter of perspective. When you get down in people's mess, when you get down in people's worlds, when you get down in people's perspectives and what they've been through and the struggle that they've gone through, then your perspective changes. You don't look down on people anymore. You look up at people. I believe that's what we need in our culture right now. Instead of saying they're wrong and they're right, or that person doesn't know what they're talking about, that's ignorant, or I believe this view is right, I believe that view is right. We ought to get in people's worlds and start understanding them. We ought to get in people's worlds instead of pointing our finger and throwing our social media stones at people. We need to get into their world and understand them. I believe the enemy wants to bring disunity in our world. The enemy wants to bring disunity in the church. He wants believers to say, man, I'm on this side of politics. And he wants believers to say, I'm on this side of politics. But can I tell you that we will never be in unity if we're not willing to get into people's worlds? Can I just tell you, maybe this week you ought to call somebody that's not like you. Maybe you ought to have some coffee with somebody who's not like you. We need to get in people's worlds. somebody you don't understand. Get in somebody's world. We got to get in people's world. Dust off the dirt. We don't know what they've been through. Get in people's worlds. You ought to pray for your enemies. Can I tell you, prayer changes your perspective? Charles Spurgeon once said, he said, prayer is the forerunner of mercy. If you're going to have mercy on people, you need to pray for them. And I'm not just talking about, oh God, I pray for my enemy. I pray you spite them. I pray a bolt of lightning comes down and they get theirs and they get what they deserve. No, I'm talking about you need to pray prayers for your enemies like, God, I pray you bless them. God, bring life to them and their family. Bless their business. Bless their finances. They are the head, not the tail. They are above, not beneath. You need to pray prayers like that and it'll change your perspective. You'll move from holding stones to getting in the dirt and dusting it off. You need to get real and start praying for people. Because can I tell you, there's a miracle in mercy. There is a miracle in mercy. You see, if these Pharisees would have never dropped the stones, if Jesus would have never bent down in the dirt, that woman would be dead. There's no miracle in that. There's only condemnation and shame. But because Jesus bent down in the dirt, and if you and I would bend down and dust people's lives off, get in people's worlds, if we would show mercy to people, they don't deserve it. That's what mercy is. You don't deserve it, but he gave it to you anyways. You didn't deserve it. You deserved the rock, but he dropped it. And then grace is you didn't deserve it, but he gave it to you. We need to get down in people's worlds. Because Jesus bent down, she left a life of sin because there's a miracle in mercy. If you want to see miracles in people's lives, if you want to see hearts change, if we want to see people who we don't agree with, who we despise their opinion, we despise their attitude, you ought to get down, dust off the dirt, drop the stones that you've been carrying that aren't doing any good, drop them, dust that person's, and you'll see a miracle. We'll see heart change in our culture. We'll see heart change in our world if we would just stoop down and dust the dirt off people's lives. Mercy. Mercy. Maybe you've heard this story before I've told, and there's a story about this girl who was adopted into a family. And I'm going to close with this story. She was adopted into this family, and this specific family that adopted her would go to Disney World every year. I mean, this is a treat. If you've never been to Disney World is expensive. The food is expensive. The only way we ever got to go to Disney World was because we knew people. We knew people with hotels and places we could stay. The food is expensive. It is a treat. And this family would go to Disney World. But this girl they had adopted, they would actually make her stay with her grandparents every time they would take a family trip. Because in their minds, she wasn't a part of the family, she was adopted. Now, needless to say, this adoption didn't work out. This family, that was a very abusive approach, and who knows what else was going on. So this girl had to move out of this house of her adopted family, and she eventually got into another family who treated her so much better. And the dad of this new adopted family heard about this story, found out that this girl never got to go to Disney World while the other adopted family would go off and enjoy family time. So he secretly planned a trip to Disney World. He then told her, announced on her birthday, said, hey, I want you to know, as a family, we're going to Disney World. And she got so excited. Now, a couple days leading up to the Disney World trip, she started to really act up. She started to disobey and not clean up and just really act out of character for who she was. Her dad couldn't figure out what was going on. And her dad got angry at her and told her, said, hey, listen, this is not what we do. And she got so upset. And the day before they were going to go to Disney World, he says he goes to talk with her and just have a conversation to figure out what's going on. And she stops him. She says, I already know what you're going to say. I already know. He says, what? She says to him, I'm not going to Disney World, am I? And he looks at her and says, hey, listen, is our family going to Disney World? She says, yeah. Are you our family? She says, yeah. Then we're going to Disney World. Yeah, you may have done some things you shouldn't have done, but that doesn't mean I'm neglecting you from going to Disney World. You may have deserved to not have a treat, to not have an experience, but I'm going to show you mercy because you're a part of this family. You're a part of this family. You see, what happened was she acted out of line because she was just going to go ahead and sabotage the trip that she already knew that she couldn't go on, or that she thought, because of this prior adoption experience. But mercy is different. Mercy bends down when you don't deserve it, dusts the dirt off of your life. I remember I got in trouble for doing something I shouldn't have done. We were riding a go-kart in the yard and we wrecked it right into my mom's flower bed. And I almost broke my leg, and I came in crying to my mom, and I told her what happened, and she could have been really mad. I wrecked her flower bed, wrecked this go-kart, really hurt myself. If I was the parent, I would have been really mad. But instead, very calmly, she dusts the dirt off, fixes up my wounds, says, are you okay, honey? You see, mercy bends down and dusts the dirt off of your life. If you're watching today and you've never experienced a relationship with God, can I tell you, he's reaching out his hand. He's bending down in your life right now, desiring to show you mercy. He wants to dust the dirt off of your life. I don't know what you've believed in the past, that you felt like maybe you had to be fixed up before you could come to him, or maybe you should get your life right or something like that before you go to church. Can I tell you that he meets you right where you're at and he shows mercy to you? He wants a relationship with you where no matter what you do, he can dust the dirt off of your life and keep you going down the purposes and the design he has for you. And if that's you today, I want you to click the button that says, I commit my life to Christ. Let us know, and we're gonna pray for you in a private chat room and give you some resources. If you're here today and you say, man, I've picked up some stones. I've picked up some stones of unforgiveness. I've picked up some stones of bitterness. Can I tell you that if you wanna experience true freedom, you need to learn to walk into forgiveness. Drop the stones in your life. Drop the things that you've been holding on to for so long. Let them go and get down. Forgive the people who have hurt you the most, sometimes on a daily basis. Dust the dirt off and start to understand people. Get into people's worlds and be like Jesus in that way. And can I tell you, there's no freedom like that. There's no freedom like letting go of the things that have been weighing you down and walking in true freedom, walking in forgiveness. Here's what you could do even right now. When I close this out, you can grab a piece of paper, use the notes on your phone, and write down those people, those stones that you've picked up to throw at people, the stones of unforgiveness. And if that's a piece of paper, you ought to just rip it up. If that's a note on your phone, just X them off or delete it, but write them out, and just as a physical act, say, man, I'm dropping these stones in my life. Come on, we are in a culture, we are in a world, and we need to have mercy. The church more than ever needs to be the church that shows mercy to people. Let me pray for you. Father, I thank you that you bent down in my mess. I thank you that you bent down in the mud when I was so dirty, when I was so messed up, when I deserved every punishment, when I deserved death. You bent down in my mess, picked me up, dusted me off, showed me who I was. And God, I pray for everybody listening, they would realize what you have done for them. And we wouldn't be like the servant in Matthew who got forgiven of their debts and then went and tried to collect somebody else's debts. But we would turn around, and those people who have hurt us the most, those people who have said things to us, ignored us, walked away from us, rejected us, our parents even, we would drop the stones and forgive them and be able to walk in true freedom. In Jesus' name, amen.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. I hope you were encouraged and blessed. Why don't you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a single video? I'd also love for you to share this video with somebody else, and hopefully they will be encouraged and blessed just as you have been. You can also join us every Sunday during our live church services. Hope to see you there.